He joined the Cistercians. I think was he 22 years old? And he was so zealous, he was 22, so zealous that he somehow talked a whole bunch of his family and friends into joining him and joining the monastery. He showed up, there's 30 of them. 30 showed up to the monastery that joined the monastery, and he was so impressive. After 3 years, they sent him off to establish a new monastery. And he was at that monastery, the monastery of Clairvaux, for the rest of his life. But that monastery was the founding monastery for other monasteries. I think the Cistercians are like this. I know some of the Carmelites are like this, but the monasteries have a limit of, I think, like 24. And then as soon as they reach around that number, they go found another monastery, because their ideal number is 12, just like Jesus with his 12 disciples. So a lot of monasteries, that's the way they work. They're not trying to be huge. They get to a certain point, and then they go establish another monastery. So that's one of the beautiful things about St. Bernard. He's responsible for the founding of many monasteries. And I've always found that so cool. Like when I read the lives of the saints, I always love it when I read about a saint and they say, oh, he founded many monasteries, or he founded, 5 monasteries. I would love, I don't see myself founding any monasteries, but I would love, after I die, when they do a little write-up about my life, I would love if they could say, Father Mark, he founded a couple monasteries. Like I just find that so cool. And even being abbot, this is total vanity. There's nothing kind of, whatever, sincere in this the desire. But I love the title abbot, Some priests would love to be a bishop. I don't want to be a bishop, but I'd love to be an abbot. Again, it just sounds so cool. He was an abbot, And the thing is, I think back then, or throughout the ages, starting a monastery, it was just a simple thing. You just go to get a bunch of guys, get a piece of land somewhere, maybe not even buy it, just find some place in the wilderness and start loving God together. Voila, you got a monastery. Nowadays, there's all the red tape. You want to start a monastery, it's almost impossible. It's kind of like taking kids canoeing. Back in the day, you want to take the kids canoeing, you take them canoeing. Now, you need a team of lawyers to write up the permission forms to take kids canoeing. It's almost impossible, It's the same thing founding a monastery. But I thought to myself, if I wanted to found my little monastery, you could kind of use the trailer park approach. That's kind of my vision, Get a little piece of land and get a bunch of guys, everyone gets a trailer. That way everyone's got their own space. I like having my own space. So my vision for a monastery is a bunch of guys on a piece of land. Everyone's got his own trailer. And at 3 o'clock, it's silence all day. Prayer, silence, all that kind of stuff. But at 3 o'clock, we would gather for the Chapel of Divine Mercy, and then have happy hour and light the barbecue. And then have our community meal, a nice outdoor community meal together, because, that's important, some fraternity time. And then just kind of live that simple life, And of course, every monastery needs a work, you have to have some kind of trade or something. And I thought we could all be social media influencers, making TikTok videos or something, Wouldn't that be wonderful? That new evangelization. People talk about the new evangelization. That's the new evangelization. Bunch of TikTok people, YouTubers or whatever, kind of out in the wilderness making videos, living in trailers in a trailer park. I think it would be huge, The only problem is, it's like in the first reading. Did you notice the first reading? It's classic. They're looking for a king, and it's a parable. And they go to the greatest kind of plant or whatever, an olive tree. Reign over us. And the olive tree says, I don't want to reign over you. I like making olive oil. So then they go to the fig tree, and he says, I don't want to rule over you. And they keep, you go to the vine, and finally, no one wants to rule over them, so they go to the bramble bush. And the bramble bush says, sure, I'll do it, And so it's just a sign that, one of the things about being an abbot, if I was to be an abbot, I'd be responsible for people, And most people today, they just like to do their own thing, And so, but I thought maybe if I ever took a sabbatical, I could be an abbot for 1 year. Take a 1-year sabbatical, get a bunch of guys, get a piece of land, bunch of trailers, and pretend we're monks for a year. And I could be the abbot, and I could finally, live my dream of being an abbot, And you never know, it could really take off. The only thing is I love the companions of the cross, I'm very happy with the companions of the cross. So unless the companions want it kind of a side, like a household of guys living in trailers in a trailer park, I'd be willing to head up a household like that. But like I said, I don't see it happening. Most of the community thinks I'm crazy when I share these ideas, But maybe one day people will recognize my genius.